What's good?
Hey,
Ed Hoffman,
yo.
let's go. Dude, awesome. Seeing some familiar faces. Alan, good to see you in the mix. Edward, yes. Um, yo, guys, welcome. Hope everyone's having a lovely Saturday morning or evening, depending on where you're at in the world. And while we wait for people to filter in a little bit more, yeah, I'm just curious, where are you guys calling in from? Can you text in the chat? Keep your mics muted because it's a big crew, but yeah, text in the chat where you're calling in from. Dude, Wolf Stacks, what's up, dude? Hyped to be back in the mix. New York, Australia, dope. Dude, Raleigh, Calgary, let's go. San Diego, Guatemala, that's so sick. Costa Mesa, represent. Shout out what's it called? La Cave. Boise, Idaho, LA, New Jersey, Orange County, Wisconsin, SD, Santa Cruz, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, dope. Olympia, Oregon, London, yes, dude, let's go. Delaware, Santa Monica, LA, represent. I'm coming in from LA, so holding it down. Santa Barbara, dope. This is awesome. A lot of homies. Let's go. Wow. Yeah. Chino, Newport. Dude, Michael Bricker. My man. Let's go. Um, Unreal, dude. And then yeah, here's another question for you guys. Who are you listening to these days? Yeah, some artists, labels, etc. Who are people feeling right now? Solid Grooves, Zoo, Porter. Dude, I just did a Charlotte. Wow, the chat's blown up. Buka Shade, Boys Noise. Ands, dude, Ands is so tight. Yeah, Mackenzie. Yes, dude. UKG all day. Yes. Dirty Bird, Ross from Friends, John Summit, Aloka, Typeless Records. Let's go. Yes, Mall Grab, LPGO, GOB, Gene on Earth. Shout out Gene. Object. Yeah, I saw Object in LA a couple weeks ago. It was really tight. This is awesome. All the UK shit. Tight. Baltra, Joko, Dirty Bird. It's awesome. Drum and bass. Love the range. Love the range. It's awesome. Um, and then yeah, one last question. How can you message me how long you've been producing? Like just started, maybe let me know if anyone downloaded the free trial or this is like the very first experience you're having. 1 year, 4 months, 1 year, 3 months, 0 years. Noob. Let's go, Artemis. Yes. Just started first experience. That's so tight. 7 years, less than 0 years. Day 11, Clayton. Oh, this is so sick. 15 seconds. Yes, Joshua. New 8 years. Dude, awesome. Awesome. I love the range. Love the range. Dope. Wow. Yeah. So just to give people a heads up, because I know there's obviously like a wide range of experience level here with some people who've been doing this a very long time and some people who just started. So a big belief that I have about making music is there's a lot of power in the beginner's mindset. So everyone who's new, I feel like even though there's probably things that are super daunting about, you know, this scary new program that you might have downloaded, I feel like there's a lot of magic in not knowing what you're doing. I know that might sound a little crazy, but you know, it's something that if you're a pro, I want you to kind of think about that, like what it felt like when you first started, sort of, you know, the mystery of of making music, the fun of it. There's something really pure when we first start. And I feel like for me, I've been making music for quite a while, been putting out records and releasing music for about 10 years now. And I feel like whenever I can tap into that, that sort of like beginner's mindset of when I first started and why I got into it, which is for the fun of it all. I feel like I end up enjoying the process the most. And I feel like when you are enjoying the process of making music, you often will then make the best stuff. Let me switch views for a quick sec, but give me a thumbs up if you feel me on that. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I feel like a lot of it's easy to kind of go to learn production and be in this very like serious environment and learn all these super technical aspects, which I think is great. But I feel like if that stuff really gets in the way of the fun of the music, um, that's where I'd be like, hey, can we still have fun? Because I think that's what it's all about. And for me, having fun making music can also mean just like, getting to express myself, if I had like a rough day and I'm just feeling like angry or something, to just get the feelings out, whatever they are, whether it's positive or negative, and just, allow yourself to, yeah, get it all out. That to me is like the whole point of music. And, what I'm excited to share with you today is some super simple ways that like we can do that, even if you're brand new to Ableton. And if you're a pro, I feel like there's some of these ideas might totally change you might end up making something you never would have made otherwise. And yeah, I think mixing up your process is cool. And also if you're a pro and if you've been doing this for a long time, I feel like it's easy to get into a rut of using the same plugins or the same sounds, or kind of you have these things that you think you need to use. Oh, I need to use these fancy plugins or these fancy synths or whatever, this hardware. And I think I feel like whenever you need to do something in music, that's where I kind of get like, that's where I want to start poking at you and be like, do you need to do this thing where there's a million different ways to do pretty much anything in music. And so, yeah, I would just ask, let's give this a chance. Some of you might have done what we're about to explore today. And that's cool too. Cause I feel like, if you were here last year, give me a thumbs up if you were here last year. Yeah, a couple. Okay, sweet. So we're gonna be running back the 909 challenge. So let's begin with another video of a legendary artist named Jeff Mills running it back. Let's play some Jeff Mills. Give me a thumbs up if the audio works, by the way. Hey. So for those that don't know, this box that he's jamming on, it's called the Roland 909, and it's a drum machine. And Jeff Mills, absolute legend of techno. And he recorded this video. It's 11 minutes long of him just jamming on just this one drum machine. There's like 10 different drum sounds, and he could pretty much do this forever. And in fact, he does it live. This is him just on the drum machine at a huge festival for about 10 minutes. Another festival, if you can hear it. Huge. So, I think, yeah, it's just interesting. We'll talk about the 909 for a bit, but, I feel like there's times where we can sit down at the computer and be like, oh, I have a vision for creating this type of track, and maybe I want to use all these different sounds. Today and this weekend, what I ask is like, let's kind of do it the other way, where we might have some tools and we just want to mess around and see what inspires us. All right. So we're kind of being more reactive with the process and kind of letting go of, a vision of like, oh, I want to make this sort of, like particular track with, this sort of energy. Like I want everyone to get in this mindset of like doing what Jeff Mills does, where he's just like fucking around, having fun on this drum machine. He's, putting these patterns together in these beats and just like, having fun with it. And I feel like that's sort of the mindset we want to get in, is seeing what this song that we're creating wants to be. And I think like a good analogy for it is it's kind of like, it's like a child, it's like a baby. And in this situation, we don't want to like, we don't want to be like, no, child, you need to be a doctor. You know, you have to kind of like, I want you to start messing around, and whatever your song wants to be, go with it. If it wants to be 150 BPM banger, like let's let it be that. If it wants to be a chill, lo-fi deep house thing, like that's cool too. Just whatever it wants to be, let's let go of any sort of preconceived notions. And if you want to try setting the BPM at some crazy number that you've never tried before, whether it's really fast or really slow, I encourage that. This is a safe space to fuck around. So that's sort of mindset stuff. And then for those that don't know about the 909, just really briefly, it is this, you know, one piece of equipment I feel like played a huge role in the development of house music, techno, dance music overall. You know, I think like one story that I've heard is a lot of the early house producers in the late 80s, they were listening to disco records and they wanted to kind of recreate them, but they couldn't have access to like a live drummer in a big recording studio, but they had this drum machine. And so they would use the drum machine to do what the disco band would have done in the same sort of beats, and with the idea of making people dance. And many of the like most legendary house songs of all time just use the 909 for the drums. And you know, I feel like a good analogy for it is kind of like, it's almost like the electric guitar equivalent, but in dance music. So it's like if you were in rock, if you were playing like rock music, do you think anyone would ever be like, bro, you used a guitar in your song, that's so unoriginal? No one would ever say that, because that's like what it means to be like, to like rock music. It's driven by the electric guitar, that's like a part of it. I feel like for house and techno, the same thing is true with this instrument. People have been making amazing house and techno songs with the 909 since the late 80s. And here's like a very classic example. And it's just timeless song. Like, you know, once you start hearing this instrument, you'll start realizing that like it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so, you know, I feel like what I love about the 909 is I almost think of it kind of like, it's like it's like a paint, it's almost like a color, like on a on a paint palette. And whenever I am craving that color, I can go to it. Another analogy would be like, for fashion, for people who are into fashion, I feel like it's like a plain white tee. It's like it always works and it always looks good. You can always, doesn't matter what the vibe is, the plain white t-shirt, it'll always be like, yes, great. And I feel like you know, today, if you're brand new to Ableton, let's start about a way that you can immediately, like within 2 seconds, have fun. And let's pop open Ableton. All right, so this is Ableton. And so here's some stuff for the beginners who are brand new. Yeah, so if you go onto this toolbar over here, you'll see drums, and search for Kit Core 909. You can type it in here if your thing doesn't look like mine. Double click. What you've done is you've loaded up the drum machine onto this track here. These columns are your different instruments. And if we double click on one of these open squares, we can now put notes into our drum machine, just like Jeff Mills is doing. And you can see all the various sounds. I'm on an older version of Ableton than some of you, so it might look a tiny bit different, but what we can do is we can double click on any of these spaces. You can also click B to turn your cursor into pencil, and you can just randomly click a bunch of stuff. And I would say, give this a try. Just try clicking a bunch of random shit and just see what happens. You can go crazy. And when you press play on this clip, your pattern will start playing on loop. So here we go. Super inspiring. And here's the cool thing. If we go one square down, we can make a new pattern, and you could try something totally different and do some more random shit, just like this. And I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just really doing shit randomly. It already sounds like some classic, some classic house music. For new people, up in the top left is the BPM. This is the speed. So if you slow it down, you can speed it up. So I think in this moment right now, I like, yeah, I thought that was fine. And so what you can do if you're brand new is you can create a bunch of different patterns and try finding patterns that you can switch between that are satisfying. So this is where we get into kind of like, you know, sort of a basic idea with music. So we have in dance music, we have the loop. So let's try making a loop that we can kind of, let's say, you know, kind of something hypnotic that we can kind of latch into. So if your grid doesn't look this way, right click, and for fixed grid, choose 16th notes. That is the number of subdivisions in a measure that we want. We want 16. That's the number of steps that the 909 had. And so let me just break down the basics of like house music / techno. The biggest part of it is the kick drum, which plays on every beat. And so here's the kick. This 909 kick, by the way, is amazing. Like the stock Ableton 909, I've released so many tracks with that sample, and with these drums as well. So here, I'm just gonna put a kick drum on every beat, and let's listen to that. Cool. I'm gonna slow it down a tiny bit. Yeah, let's do that. So if you're making techno, you can literally have a drop where it's just the kick drum and nothing else. It's amazing. And here, just I want to show like the satisfaction of this pattern be like a claps and snares, and just let's like imagine we're building a track. So we have this loop, very hypnotic. It's just the kick drum. Now we're just dealing with the bare bones, but you can see what I'm starting to like experiment with, and it's I would describe this as contrast. So let's keep on developing this loop. So we have a kick drum, and this will be I'll call it main loop. To rename any of these, they're called MIDI clips. Click and then do Command R, and you can type in anything. So for this main loop, let's talk about some super fundamental stuff for just what makes music work. So if you're dealing with house and techno and a lot of dance music in general, the kick drum is the focal point of your track. It's something that really like anchors the groove and the entire feel. And a lot of you who've experienced this on the dance floor, nothing is more powerful in dance music than having the kick, taking it away, bringing it back. Like, just to check in with you guys, like, who here knows this satisfaction I'm talking about of like when the kick drum comes back in? It's game changing. So it's the most powerful thing. And what I love about using this 909 kick drum is it sounds great, and we spent zero time digging through a sample folder. So really like awesome. Okay, so beyond the kick drum, I feel like another big thing that drives a lot of music would be the space between the kick drum. Between the kick drums, we often fill with bass. For techno, one of the things that people do is they'll just have a really long kick drum. So just boom, 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 and there's a lot of space. There's not a lot of space between each kick. For a lot of house music, you could have like a bass line that plays around the kick. With the 909, and this is what Jeff Mills does, he uses the toms to sort of act as the bass line. And there's 3 toms. There's a high one, low one, or medium one, and low. I guess there's even more on this, actually. Looks like there's 5. So if you're thinking about the bass, these high toms might not really give you that sort of like low ends that we're looking for, but you can use them. So let me do something super simple with just a kick in the lowest tom, which will give us the most sort of low end. Here, I'll just put 1 here. And already the difference between that versus that, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. I added 1 note. And I think if you're brand new to Ableton, you can just add 1 tom note, see where it fits, see where it feels good, and then decide if you want to add another. So let's see if there's another one that we want to add. Sweet. I think that's cool. And then, I'm just kind of trying to like act on intuition. Maybe let's see if there's like a higher one, and maybe just do some random shit. Yeah, I'm into that. Sweet. So, clicking, I'm trying to find the simplest pattern, not trying to like overcomplicate it. And I think that's a good place to start. So here, I'm going to rename this to just kick and tom. And then let's copy it over. And I want to talk about the second, or I guess now we're like probably the third most important thing for what we're doing. And this is the up hi-hat. The up hi-hat is a really, really powerful aspect, component in house music and techno. You don't need an up hi-hat in every song, but it's a really powerful thing. So here, let me just add one. And so what I'm doing, the up hi-hat, it goes in between every kick drum. So if we look, the kick drums, which are on 1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, those are the beats. The up hi-hats go in between them. So 1.13, 1.23, 1.33, 1.43, the open one. Cool. Sweet. So here, just to show the difference, because this is like the kick drum. When the kick drum comes in, everyone cheers. The open hat or the up hat, same thing. It's such a powerful piece in the puzzle for building the momentum of any groove. And so here's the interesting thing about the up hat. So we have a couple different options on this drum machine, which are all really cool. So we have the open hat, which sounds like this, the closed hat, and this one is even more closed. It's not labeled very well. So there's a couple different things that we can do. We can use the length of the hats to kind of build energy. So if I click on this note, it highlights all the like MIDI notes on that note, and I can use the arrow keys to move it up and down. So here's the shortest hi-hat, and I'll let this play and go to exceedingly longer hi-hats. And so it's interesting. It's like, I know a lot of people here might struggle with arrangement. Like, how do you turn a loop into a full song? This is like one of the like easiest ways, is playing with, what we're doing is we're playing with how long this hi-hat is. And we can do that by either switching between these various samples. So I have this on this open hi-hat. My 909 kit might look a little differently than your guys, but I'll send you the one that I use. If we just play with this decay knob, we can shorten the hi-hat, and you can see in real time how big of a difference this makes in the track. And so not only is this something that like, you know, you can have it change, you know, hard at 8 bars, but it's something that we can almost build the tension with. So like here's kind of an interesting example of that. So, you know, what I could do is have, you know, the kick muted over here. So I'm going to do no kick. It's something that you can use to like build the tension, which is, it's funny because, so back to Jeff Mills, you know, he's like rocking these festivals and people are going crazy. He's using this, he's just using a 909 to do it. Like how many people here, you know, like if you want to have a big buildup, how many people rush to get like a big, like a bunch of sound effects? It's okay if you do. Has anyone ever done that where you're like, oh, I need, this drop needs to be bigger. I need to get the big swoosh or the big riser. It's interesting because you can get those crazy, like huge moments without any of those additional sound effects. And just one thing that I kind of think about is with those sound effects, I don't have a problem with them being used in tracks, but I think early on, especially, I feel like it's really a great thing to be able to make your song as satisfying as possible without using those types of effects. Because I feel like those effects can be kind of like adding, it's like adding ketchup to like a burger. It's like, if you know, if you don't have a great burger and you just add a ton of ketchup, you can kind of disguise how good the burger is, but it's only to a certain point, right? Like what we want to do is we really want to make sure that our burger is like nicely cooked before adding the ketchup. I think a better analogy with food, I've used this before, would be tacos. You know, it's like tacos, you know, in LA, the best tacos, onions and cilantro, and that's it. If you don't get the meat, onions and cilantro is good, you know, what's the point of anything else, right? And what can happen in LA is there can be tacos that the meat and the onions is just not that great, so they cover it in cheese and salsas and salads and, you know, like all this crazy stuff, and it kind of just disguises the actual meat and potatoes. So yeah, that's sort of like a conceptual thing, is like any situation, so this is for the pros, like any situation where we can strip away all the tools that you think you need to make your track work, this is where we are like sharpening our skills in a crazy way. And I think this is true with like white noise swooshes and effects, could be true with like big reverbs, or, you know, just like all sorts of crazy stuff that we can do. And here's the thing, it's like, you know, if you polish an idea where it's already feeling good without those things, then you can choose to add those things because you want to, not because you need to. Do people feel me on that distinction? Dope, cool. Because yeah, it's like, you know, that's where you'll find the great song, is with that really polished core idea. And then if you want to sprinkle some salsa or some lime on top, like that's great. And I just feel like that mindset can be a powerful way to approach this. So so I feel like we did some good basic stuff. I really hope that this is helpful to people. I know beginner people, there might be things that I'm kind of glancing over, but if you go to Ableton for their, they have some really good like basic tutorials that can help fill in the gaps that I might be skipping. But that being said, I don't think I've seen any like Ableton tutorials that are just talking about the 909. And just to reiterate, so like for me, and just starting a song with just the 909, I've released and gotten signed so many tracks using just the Ableton stock 909. And if I go to like my Spotify, like it is pretty funny. Let's see, hold on, a lot of music. So, but yeah, I've gotten, yeah, this is like stock Ableton 909. What else? Let's see. I use it all over the place. This is stock Ableton 909. Or wait, sorry, this one with a bunch of distortion. This is stock Ableton 909. It's on Patrick Topping's label. I had some stuff on Shall Not Fade. This one, stock Ableton 909. Only the stock Ableton 909, nothing else. Suarez, like some more techno stuff. This one, yeah. Hold on. This will be the last one. More techno-y stuff. So yeah, just the versatility of this instrument is crazy. And I've never sent a demo using the 909 and been told like, yo man, use the 909. It's like I said, it's the equivalent of the electric guitar, but in this kind of music. So just to, for some people who are like a little bit more experienced, there's some fun ways that we can, the clean 909 sound, I am a huge fan of, and I think it really works great. Like these stock sounds without any processing. That being said, I have two suggestions for people who want to like try getting a little bit fancier. The first is if you want to make like a really gnarly techno song, and honestly, beginner people, you could do this too. I am a huge fan of, this is like a great way if you're ever struggling with like writer's block, like if you're ever just feeling like everything you do is shit and you're just being really hard on yourself, one of my favorite things to do is take either saturator or overdrive and just put it on the master of your track. And I know that sounds crazy, and this is from a musical perspective or like a production standpoint, this is not a good thing to do, but it's hilarious. So it's just what we're doing is because we put like overdrive on the master, it's just distorting everything. And I feel like it's a really fun way to just like to immediately stop giving a fuck. You're just making some crazy shit and it just sounds like some 90s Detroit aggressive techno stuff. So that's really fun. And another thing that we can do, let's say if you want to make something that's more chill and kind of dusty sounding, like let's say we're going for, kind of like a lo-fi house type of thing. Here, I'll just add like a basic house beat. One of my favorite things to do, Lego Welt has this free plugin that's called Smackos, and I'll send out an email link with it for everyone to like download. But it's like immediate. You sound like Ross from Friends, just immediately, and it's a free plugin. I'll send an email with all the instructions, but like if I slow this down, this is the most basic beat and it already sounds like a legit lo-fi house song. And just for fun, like if I just even get like, like if I got a chord sound, it'll sound, let's see. Yeah, sure. Like this. Boom. Take this chord, drop it in there. Like put some reverb on that, and then already it's like a lo-fi house thing. Oh, I clicked a button on Zoom. There we go. Hold on, exit out of that. Anyways, Lego Welt, it immediately makes everything feel super dusty. So yeah, just to reiterate, anyone who wants to like have some fun trying things in a different approach, I would highly encourage you to try using Lego Welt if you want something that's more like dusty sounding. Or, we called it the gnarly challenge, where you just put distortion on everything, and I'll show you guys like a little bit more about how fun this can be. So let's try adding one other sound to this track, and I'm gonna go through just like some of the basic presets. Okay, let's try this one. Turn this reverb off. Okay, so already sounds crazy. So if I just do, I'm gonna just do like a kick drum on every beat. Boom, boom, boom. Speed this back to 140. This is with overdrive on the master. And here, let's find a bass note. Okay, so here's a little key thing for bass. The most important thing is finding a good note that isn't too high and isn't too low. So if we zoom out, this is probably too high for us. But if we go down here, that's way too low. And we want to find something in the middle. Yeah, this is good. Even here, it's starting to get a little too farty. Even here, it's starting to get a little too high. And you can just listen on your headphones or your speakers and try to find something that feels like it, just fits. It like hits you where you want the bass to hit you. And I'm just gonna, even like a simple pattern, like something like this. Let's run, boom. With that distortion, it's already sounding pretty crazy. For this type of bass line, what I might want to do is like take the notes that are on the downbeats that would play with the kick and just turn down the volume so that the kick can, have a little bit more space. And this is kind of the same thing as like doing a sidechain compression thing. And yeah, like already adding some basic shit. And yeah, so it's like this gnarly thing with adding the overdrive. It's really, I know it sounds so silly, but it's just a great way to yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times when we're having writer's block, what we're doing is we're judging our music too hard and we're being too critical. And by putting the overdrive just on the master, it does this sort of like reverse psychology thing where your track like already sounds insane because it's fucking distorted and shit. and I think it can just take off a little bit of the pressure of like having to make the most polished sounding thing. Because what we care more about, and this is, I feel like so strongly about this, in music overall, it's easy for us as we're learning to care about the polishing of details. And at the end of the day, what speaks to people's, what I feel like catches people's ears to good music is the feelings, and the spirit of it. Yeah, sometimes that can also be polished, but I feel like there's a lot of amazing songs that are poorly recorded, poorly mixed, poorly mastered, but they have a charm to them. And it's like inescapable. And so I feel like putting overdrive on your master, something silly like that, can help us like reconnect with what the point of this whole thing is. Another interesting advantage to it, I'm a big fan of keeping songs simple. And because everything gets so distorted, you do not need a lot of elements to like fill out the space in your track because everything's getting distorted. So it's really useful for that. So I'm going to take a quick pause right here and give everyone the challenge for this weekend. So because we're meeting again tomorrow. I want everyone here to try making a track with the 909 as your only thing for your drums. You can do whatever you want on top of that. I would say if you're a pro, try to not use the tools that you normally use on. See how little you can do. So big ups to anyone who can make a track with just the 909 and nothing else. Like that shit's really hard to do. if you can make a track with the 909 and maybe one other sample, that's going to be crazy. If you want to just use the 909 and then do whatever you want, that's cool too. This is just like a way to, you know, try a different approach. And immediately, everyone here who does this, you will have a classic old school sound to your track. And I would say old school might not even be the right word. It's more of like a timeless sound, I think. Because yeah, you know, there's so many great modern songs that are still using these same sounds. So I want everyone to give it a try, and also just try your best to move through the process as quickly as possible. So don't second guess yourself. Just fucking get the thing done. You're in a time crunch because you have to send this in, let's say by 10 a.m. tomorrow. And I would say like anyone, oh yeah, we have time time codes. So 10, yeah, I'll be checking this stuff at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. You have until then. I would say feel free to send me shit prior to that, and I will send an email with how you do that. I guess I think the best way to do it would be, you know, sending me something on Instagram as a DM with like a SoundCloud link. Is everyone cool with that approach for sending me a track? Dope. And I'll try to listen to as many as I can. Obviously, there's quite a few of you here. But yeah, and I really want you to just like, you know, as you're making this thing, think about that baby. Ask it, what does this baby want to be? And just allow it to happen. And I want you to love your baby no matter what. Even if you think it's ugly or, you know, like not as tall as you want it or this or that, like, I don't care. Like, it's, you know, let's get into this, like, you know, good practice to like appreciate what you're doing no matter what, and just having fun. Because if you're having fun, that's all that matters. And do some silly shit, I don't care. So that is the challenge for today. And I'll spend a little bit more time diving in on some more like specific things about how I think about, you know, I feel like it'd probably be useful for people to hear a little bit about how to structure songs and the most important things that I think about in terms of song structure. Okay, so let's, you know, I made a bunch of junk here. So let's just take this clap snare thing. I'm going to turn the overdrive off. Nice. Let's take this and this. Okay, sweet. So I'm going to take these two loops, highlight both of them, click and hold, and then tab to bring it over into this view. This is our timeline, and this is like a great place to work on your song structure. So I feel like the most, you know, you can think about I feel like the essence of a lot of great dance songs you can think of in terms of maybe the drop and the build up, right? You know, obviously some songs don't have real build ups and some songs can be more of like a loop, but I feel like, especially for a lot of house music, this is kind of like a good way to think about it. So we have these two sections. We have the drop and the build up, A and B, whatever you want to call it. And so one of the things that we want to consider for a satisfying moment in our song is getting contrast between these two sections. So like one of the easiest things that we can do is, you know, have a bunch of snares and claps, kind of like a snare buildup, and then go to the kick drum, and it's going to be somewhat satisfying. So let's listen to that. It works. Nothing crazy, but the idea that we're going for is contrast. There is, you know, let me show you a different way of getting contrast. So what I'm going to do is highlight this whole section, do Command D. So here's a completely different approach. So for this build up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the drop, call it a build, and I'm going to mute the kick. And this is funny. So I'm going to do some automation. I'm going to take the volume and automate it down. Okay. And let's listen to that. Pretty janky. Let me do one more thing. I'm gonna add a hi-hat. I'm gonna have open hi-hat here, and then maybe a closed hi-hat here. Boom. And just to clean up this little mess up, I'm just gonna do that. Nice. And now let's listen one more time. So you can get contrast in two different ways, right? You can have things kind of building up with like a lot of busy stuff, or you can have things fading away. And then when everything comes back in, there's a satisfaction there. And so just to, you know, how like we can really play with the amount of contrast by like even, you know, let's see, what I'll do is I'm gonna add a second 909. And that way it's just gonna be easier for us to see what's happening. I'm gonna highlight an area and do Shift Command M to create a region. Switch to the 16th note grid, and let's do, I'm just gonna put a ride symbol like this. And I'm gonna do another volume automation thing. And you know what I'm feeling? When it drops, so it's gonna be getting louder. When it drops, I want the ride to get really tight. Okay, so I'm gonna take the decay and draw in a tight decay. Cool. So let's see how this sounds. So it's like, once again, just like with the hi-hat from earlier, I'm playing with the length of the sound to get dynamic. And so, yeah, what I'm thinking about to get a song to feel good is, you know, this contrast between like a build-up section and a drop. And, you know, what's cool is if you are trying to put a track together, you can, you know, experiment with like different ways to get that same contrast, or to get that contrast in different ways. And by doing so, you might end up discovering different moments in your track. So I'm just gonna copy that ride thing over here and let's see what happens. Cool. And just for fun, I'm gonna turn the distortion back on and Sweet. Okay, so I feel like that's some good basic stuff with contrast. And yeah, like, you know, I feel like, is this the greatest beat of all time? No, but I don't care. I'm just gonna keep on like powering forward because that's all that actually matters. And who knows, like it's possible that like I mess around and tweak a couple things and then all of a sudden this silly beat that I am doing for a Zoom class could be kind of cool and could be something that I end up really enjoying. So, you know, we have the basic, you know, sort of like I feel like the key moments in our tracks will come from these contrast moments where, you know, where the kick comes in and it's, you know, like a drop, even if it's a subtle thing, it doesn't, maybe there's not a huge buildup, but there are, in all dance records, there are these like defining moments. But then we also have the issue of like, how do we develop a loop without it being just another breakdown? And so I feel like fundamentally, there's two options that are always at our, that are always available to us as we do the structure of the song. We can either build the energy up or down. I guess we could also keep it the same, but the assumption is that, you know, so I guess there's three options. You could do nothing, yeah. Build it up, build it down, keep it the same. And so I think with the 909, it's really awesome because there's some very basic tools at our discretion to do just that. So we can add new sounds, we can take sounds away, we can make short sounds long, we can make long sounds short. We can also just change the patterns completely. So this is like why I feel like the 909, it simplifies everything so that you can really start to see the basic mechanics of how you can structure a song. So like, I'm gonna just like get into the zone a little bit and just try and stretch out this loop as much as I can. And I'm gonna try to act quickly without like overthinking it. So let's see what we got. So I wanna hear some claps, doing some like fills, some variations. So what I'm gonna do is click duplicate loop, and I'm gonna add an extra clap here. And you're gonna see that now this loop is gonna be a little bit less boring. Okay, and I wanna duplicate it again, and then I want this time to be 4 claps, okay? Cool, sweet. And let's see, I think maybe now at this point, like 4 bars later, maybe I could do what I did over there with like a big ride thing, where the ride is now going to get longer. Let's try that. So maybe do something like that. So I'm adding sounds. Okay, maybe here the kick comes out, and maybe like we do, like we add like a snare roll as well. Okay. So let's listen. And then maybe here, maybe we simplify stuff. So yeah, let's try that. And maybe we simplified, I've taken out the claps, but maybe now there's, like, maybe let's do some extra hi-hats. Let's try that. I have no idea what this will sound like. Cool. All right, so let's listen to what we got going. And then I'm hearing maybe like at the end of this section, maybe like we haven't used the rim, the rim shot. And it's like hilarious because it's like, what you can start doing is when you really restrict yourself to just these, dozen sounds or so, you can start to realize like how much there is to work with. So let's add some rims. Actually, we'll do another snare clap roll, and then we'll have the rims do. I want to do something like more simple and kind of like repetitive. So let's try that. So. Oops, I fucked that up. Hold on. Boom. Yeah, there we go. Next, let's try that. And I want the rims to be a little bit louder just because I want it to be kind of like a focus of the song. So just a little bit louder. Okay. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to take out the kick. And this is the taking out the kick. Just everyone, the tension that we're going to feel on the dance floor is going to be crazy. Let's get this in. Do another one of these. Okay, so I know that there's going to be another sort of drop here. And this is where we go to contrast. So I know busy, lots of things are happening in this section. So to get contrast, I want to try and find something simple. So let's maybe just do you know I want the kick drum on every beat, so I'll do that. Let's see. Okay, and then maybe okay, so we've been listening to this tom pattern for quite a bit. Let's copy it over. But here, let me take out the clap and the hi-hats. So we'll go to that. That'll be like our drop. But the toms have been in for such a long time. So here's something that could be interesting. So, you know, I feel like a lot of dance music, as you're structuring out your song, one of the best things to think about is how can you reuse an idea that you already had in your song in a new way? So one idea that just came to my mind is, so I have these toms. What if I took the same pattern, excuse me, took the same pattern, but moved all the notes upwards so that the toms are now like playing higher notes. Okay, so I just chose all the tom hits and just moved them up for this. This is like a build. And let's see. I don't know. I've never tried this before. Okay, sick. I'm into that. That's cool. Can you guys hear how that like immediately helps like feel like the track is kind of lifting in intensity and tension? And then I just had this other idea. Like, so I really liked okay, so I heard this. I was thinking like it would be so cool if it started looping. Okay, so like I'm gonna try just taking that section and highlighting it, doing Command D to just start looping those toms, because I think that could be kind of cool. Let's see. And then maybe here it starts to get even crazier. So like, let's see, hold on. Yeah, I'll just fucking doing random shit, and let's just start going crazy. I'm just gonna do, wait, no, I need to turn on the 16th note grid. I know as we get here, this is like the end of the buildup, and so maybe at the very end, it really goes like full force. Oh, one thing we could do is maybe I'll press, turn on 32nd note grid and do this. That's the wrong way. Boom. Okay, nice. So we're gonna get like a crazy clap build there. I'm really just like not holding back, not afraid to do something kind of cheesy. Cool. And I think, I think we need to give people a little bit of a break of the toms as we get to the end of this section, because I'm not getting the contrast that I want between all these toms and the final drop. So maybe like here, I'm gonna mute all the toms. Okay, that way we have some space. And then, what could be cool is just like classic, just crashes. Cool. So stupid, but it gets the job done. And what I'm thinking about is, it is that contrast. So it's like, because there's so much building up here, even though this drop is simple, I feel like we're not getting, we can get even more satisfaction by having a little bit of a pause in the in this buildup. So like, let's listen one more time. And here, yeah. And then now that it's simple, we can build it up so much more easily. It's like just adding this back will be awesome. It's boom, 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 boom. And then open hat. And then I can start copying. I could just copy this whole section, and then the track's gonna just keep on chugging. Maybe I'll create like a little fill here. Let's do like just get rid of the kicks and do some random like snare thing. Okay, sweet. So this is like, you know, how I hope, even if you don't do a song with just the 909, I hope that this shows kind of like the simple mechanics that I'm thinking about to turn this like one loop into like a structured thing. You know, if I wanted to, I could have a section where the tom pattern is totally different, or maybe the kicks don't play forward to the floor, and all of a sudden have like a new section that way. So, yeah, I feel like, you know, the 909 is just great because if you're ever stuck, thinking about things in this way, it just helps us remember there's so many things that we can always do to keep things interesting. Hi-hats getting longer and shorter, playing with drum sounds, taking things away, which I still feel like is one of the most satisfying things we can do to keep a track interesting. So yeah, I think that's a good note for me to end on with this demonstration. Was this helpful to anyone? Okay, sick. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go. Is anyone inspired to try making a beat with your 909?
Absolutely, man.
Let's go.
Totally.
Yeah.
Fuck
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
Dude,
Thank you,
my
amazing.
pleasure. Yeah, guys, this is so much fun for me. I'm happy to stick around for a little bit longer and answer any questions, but for those that need to dip, send me your tracks by 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow on an Instagram message. I will try to listen to as many as you can. You can also just tag me in an Instagram story and I'll just like repost everyone who tags me. But yeah, like make a beat, have fun with it. That is the most important thing, is having fun. And if you're a pro and you've been doing this, why don't you use this experiment as a way to try something you wouldn't have made otherwise, you know? And I feel like, you know, there's just so much great inspiration to be had with just one drum machine. And it's cool because if you're having fun with just this one basic thing that comes with Ableton or like your, you know, DAW, Logic or whatever, and then you add one element that you love to use, like you're like, wow, this is so fun. And all of a sudden you can like be reminded of sort of like the limitless possibility, but in a way that isn't overwhelming, I feel like. So, and yeah, I just got to say, like, there's times where like I feel like making music, but I don't know what I want to make, and maybe I don't feel super inspired, and just banging around on the 909, and you're just immediately, you know, making some noise and just, you know, these rhythms, and it's just a really fun fun way to like start a track. And even if you end up, you know, working on other music, the 909, I feel like it can really become a staple, like something to turn to whenever you're like, I need that one hi-hat or that one clap. It's like, oh, I'll just use the 909. Perfect. I definitely use it that way a lot. So yeah, I'm happy to take you know, I'll take like 3 or 4 questions. Anyone have any random questions?
Would you when you're
what's up?
when you're arranging this and you're getting to a point where you're like happy with the song, and this is more like mixing audio type question, but would you be bouncing this to an audio clip after and then mixing it that way, or are you mixing it from the drum kit itself?
Totally. It's a great question. So here's another awesome advantage of like the stock 909 that comes with your DAW. It's already to a certain degree been mixed. That's like a huge advantage here. You know, like if you're doing like sounds from random sample packs, the clap might be deafeningly loud and the hi-hat might be like impossible to hear. While you might want to make some minor adjustments, I feel like the 909 that comes with Ableton is so dope because you can just kind of run with it and not even have to worry about the levels. That being said, within Ableton, it's a really cool, what they've done with the drum racks is really cool because you can very easily mix the sounds within it. You know, there's volume, you know, you can add individual EQs to individual sounds. But, you know, I feel like for the sake of this challenge, the challenge I feel like is, why don't you see how little you can do? You know, like try your best to get it to feel as good with as few plugins and as few tweaks as possible. Cause I feel like while you might make some adjustments, you know, like I made that rim shot 2 dB louder. Did I really need to do that? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But you know, I feel like when it comes to mixing, volume is by far the most powerful thing we can adjust to get a good mix. And you know, thankfully with the 909, it's already at a good starting point. So, dude, at the end of the day, though, you can do whatever you want for this challenge. If you want to split everything into different tracks, you're welcome to do that. It's just whatever feels good for you. But you know, I feel like trying to keep it as simple as possible is my advice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Sick. Awesome. Max, what's up? I see your hand is raised. Your mic's muted, or maybe not even working.
Now, how about that?
Let's go. What's up,
Okay,
dude?
cool. Sorry, I was on my interface. That's why. So I think you might have answered, but just want to be clear because I've only done it in individual channels. But you can do all your individual processing, like on each individual drum hit within the kit, like that.
Yeah, totally. But I feel like for this challenge, like, okay, so in the because processing, like, you know, I feel like for the sake of the jankiness and the speed, my advice would be like, don't even do individual processing. Like, if you want to just some volume shit, or you know, what I was doing with like adjusting, like automating the decay and like those types of parameters or the pitch. If you're doing creative production stuff, that's cool. That's what you would be doing if you had a 909 in real life. You would be like, you could play with how long the sounds are, pitch up the snare, or, you know, this or that. But what you wouldn't be able to do on a real 909 is individually EQ or like, you know, finesse each sound. And so what we're doing here is by like creating these restrictions, it's gonna sound more like a classic 909. And people be like, yo, dude, did you use like hardware for that? Did you spend $5,000 for a 909? You're like, no, dude, Ableton. So that's kind of a funny backwards thing. And I feel like it is kind of a silly thing, because I think for a lot of production, we think like, oh, we need to learn and apply lots of advanced techniques to have a good sound. And funny enough, sometimes you can have a more classic sound by doing less. And so this is like a good challenge to like push the limits of like how little you can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Dope. Stetson, Ralph, my dude, how are you doing?
What's good? How we doing?
We're not related, by the way, to everyone wondering.
Hey,
what's up,
just
man?
had to pop in here and ask if Chili's is still techno.
Dude, Chili's is definitely techno. Can confirm for sure.
That's all I had for you.
All right. Peace, dude. OJ, what's up, man?
Hi. I wanted to ask you, because of the remixes that you do you lower down the pieces of the remixes so you can do a better mix? Or do you stay with the volumes of the original remix and start putting your hardware stuff?
Let's see. So I feel like in general, here's like, I would say what we can do is, you know, I think like bringing your volume down so that you have headroom and that you're not clipping your track is probably a good approach. If you are clipping your track, that's okay too. Like, you know, in this example that I'm doing, I'm definitely I'm in the red.
Yeah.
What I do is, you know, I'll put a limiter at the very end of the mastering chain to just make sure that even if it was clipping, now it will not go past 0. So that's good. But I would say, you know, if I were trying to make sure this mix is clean, I would probably, you know, be bringing the volume down so that I'm not clipping initially. But it depends what you're going for. Because if you just want to fuck around and put distortion on everything and make some fucking gnarly, crazy techno, like I would just say, like, you know, you can adjust the volume as you see fit. There's no like science here. It's just whatever feels right. And yeah, when in doubt, if you need more headroom, just turn everything down, and then you won't be clipping. Is that helpful? I hope I answered your question.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, and like the big takeaway is like, there's never a science. You know, it's always just feeling it and doing what the song wants. Daniel, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? I just had a question around over the years of your learning how to do all this. Are there any like educational resources that have stood out to you as just been really beneficial in just getting better at mixing or sound design or anything kind of related to this?
Yeah, well, so I'd say like early on, like anyone here who just downloaded Ableton, I would say a great resource is the Ableton made like basic tutorials, which can like get you from, from like 0 to like 50 in terms of, just not being super lost with like all the crazy shit that Ableton can do. And then I think beyond that, I feel like, just I would say one thing that has probably helped me over the years is like probably something that most people here have done where it's like, oh, I want to learn how to do something specific. And so I YouTube it. YouTube by far the craziest resource. And I know that's probably not like the most like surprising thing, but yeah, I don't think I've found like, one thing that's been a game changer, but I'd say probably the biggest thing overall, honestly, would also just be like, meeting other people who make music and, having that sense of like, community of like, yo, dude, how do you do this? And then the person knows, and, learning things from friends, making music with friends. You learn things every time you make music with someone new. And I mean, I feel like I learn things every time I make music with anyone, really. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was the hotkey for that or whatever. It's like, there's always some other tidbit to learn. And I think, learning from your friends and stuff is the most powerful thing. And if you don't have any homies like in person, I feel like, we'll, I feel like there's a lot of power in community. And we actually have like a little Discord. Megan, feel free to drop the link. I'll send a big like email with things for people. But yeah. Oh, Alaska, what's up? I feel like community is a really powerful aspect. Community and YouTube would be my short answer.
Justin, you mind if I chime in on that question real quick?
Oh yeah, what's up, dude?
So something I learned within the last year is there's a lot of good resources on YouTube. But what you really want to like look for is, that person or that thing that's gonna like, say like, for example, you want to be on like Dirty Bird or Trippy Ass Techno, try to find someone who has been on Dirty Bird or who has been on Trippy Ass Techno. See if you can like find someone who knows what they're talking about. This is how you get on this label. This is how you make this sort of genre of music. Like if you are looking for someone who knows how to make breaks, or you want to learn how to make breaks, you need to find a mentor, someone that's going to get you to where you want to be. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, Jordan, Blooms, great contribution. And that's awesome. So Daniel, thankfully we have this free weekend. We're in the mix together. So Jordan and I did not coordinate on that response. But yeah, dude. So so there you go. Let's see.
Thanks. That's awesome.
Yeah, of course. And also just love Jordan, love that you chimed in, because I feel like, hey, power of community, right? It really is a powerful thing. So I got time for a couple more questions. Let's keep it going. Jonathan, what's up, dude?
I just wanted to ask, did you use the 909 kit for your Red Light remix? It's one of like my favorite tracks. It just kicks, it pumps. It's so like saturated. It like goes in super heavy. Like the hats are perfect. I just wanted to ask, like, did you use the 909 to get that idea out?
Yes, dude, I did. Let's go. Hilarious. And I
knew it, man. It's so good.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, dude. I used some other drum sounds as well. I think I used a kick from a sample pack and maybe like a couple other things, but the core of it and like the whole idea was with the 909. And I think that is the main aesthetic of the drums, without doubt. And the processing that I used for that, I used Isotope Trash on a bunch of the drums to make it sound crazy. But yeah, dude, I'm hyped you dig that remix, and there you go. The 909.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Sick. Awesome, guys. I think on that note, let's call it. give you guys time to make music. So stoked to see people who are just downloading Ableton and giving it a try. I really hope, you know, like, you know, you can use this as a way to get the ball rolling. You know, I guess does anyone here who like just downloaded Ableton have like a basic question that they're like, yo, how do you, where's the 909 or something simple like that? If you could raise your hand electronically with the reactions button, I definitely want to just, whatever we can do to get some of the beginner people to just like start having fun as quickly as possible. I would love to see that. Seems like no one's putting their hand up. Curtis, what's up, dude? And you got to unmute your mic.
Yeah, how's it going?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Good, man. That was fantastic. Yeah, I've been messing with Ableton for a couple years, but like really basic, and that was like really good to help me kind of pull some things together.
Awesome, dude. Fuck yeah, appreciate it. Do you have a question?
No, you said raise your.
Oh, dude, well, I appreciate the love, dude. Let's go, Curtis.
Yeah,
awesome.
If you played at my house, I live with Corey Sasnett at the Envy Lounge.
Oh, dope.
You guys are here, like right before COVID.
That's awesome, dude. Yes, dude. Well, good to have you in the mix, dude. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, bro. Appreciate you.
Fuck yeah. Jacob, what's up, my dude?
Yo, what's happening? I've been using Ableton for quite some time at this point, but when you pulled up the 909 kit, there was the automation for the decay in there. Yeah. On 11, it doesn't reflect decay. So I was wondering how to just map that into that area.
Well, so what I'll do for you, because I'm on low key, I'm on Ableton 9. I've not upgraded in a while. And yeah, dude, that old school, the old school 909. Here, what I can do, I'll do this right now and make sure that everyone has it. Okay, so JJ 909, show in Finder. Yo, okay, bro. I'll be sending this out over email, but I think I just downloaded, or I just found the file, and I'm gonna drop it in Zoom. Let's see if I can, how do I do this? Technology. Okay, wait, so everyone, can I just do that? Boom. Okay, so no one type in the chat for a sec, because I'm gonna drop the 909 that I used straight in there. And give me a thumbs up if you saw that pop through. It's JJ909. Yeah. All right, so if you download that, you should be able to drag that straight from your download window into Ableton. And
it'll just pop up.
Yeah, if someone give me a confirmation if that worked, let me know.
Somebody said downloaded, so I think we're good.
Okay, and then here, I'll also, just before I forget, I'm gonna give everyone Lego Welt. It's Smackos, which is like the lo-fi house thing. Hold on, and I'm gonna drop that as well. Show in Finder. And just like with the 909 thing, you should be able to drag this straight from your download window into your project, and it's working.
Drag it right into Ableton, and it populates, and you can use it.
It's working. Let's go.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, technology.
Also, on 11, if you just show and hide like the parameters on the far left, all those decay windows will pop up, and you can automate everything straight from.
Word. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that.
Fuck yeah. Let's go, dude.
Real quick question too as well. Can we sidechain any of the rides, hi-hats, anything that we use? Or are we trying to just keep it pretty raw as far as all this goes?
You know, I'd say at the beginning, try your best to like see like, how can I get that feel without sidechaining, and see where that takes you. If you want to do it, that's fine. But you know, for someone who's like, if you've been, you know, using Ableton for a long time and you normally sidechain everything, that's where I'm like, yo, let's try stripping that tool away. Because
I know, I'm more so mainly am asking, like, in the event that I use a ride that lasts 4 bars, for example, and I want to pull out a long sample and kind of get that duck where I need it for kicks.
Dude, let's say for you, what was your name? Jacob.
Yeah.
No side chaining. I just want to challenge you. You sound like you know what you're doing, and I feel like for the sake of this, like, you know, you're going to get a much more old school sound by not doing that, which I feel like that might not be what you want to do normally as a producer. You might prefer like a different sort of aesthetic, but you know, for someone who really likes to use like a cool trick like side chaining, this will be cool to like strip that away from you and see what happens.
Hell
And
yeah.
you're gonna get a different result. And that's the cool thing. There's no like right or wrong approach. That sidechaining thing at the end of the day, I feel like can often be a creative decision. And I feel like with these types of creative decisions, it's like it's good to be able to choose and not be like, oh, I need to sidechain.
Yeah, yeah.
Does
I
that make
dig that.
sense? Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Sick.
Cool. Thank you, man.
All right. What's good? Lissa, good to see you.
Hi, how are you? I hope you're well.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you. I know I came in late, but I was just wondering if you have any favorite plugins that you like.
Oh, well, the whole thing here is really like stripping away all the plugins and stuff as much as possible. Which I know it's like, that sounds funny. I'd say, to give you an answer though, that Lego Welt plugin that I just sent in the chat, which I will resend over email because I'm sure it's like buried at this point. That's a really good one if you want to make something kind of lo-fi, old school sounding. And it's awesome because it's free and you don't even need to download anything, like install anything. It's actually just a preset that someone made within Ableton. It's amazing. But yeah, the whole spirit of the challenge today is, you know, use the 909 and you do as little to it as possible. You can add other sounds if you'd like, but you're going to end up with like a really old school classic sound by doing less instead of adding fancy plugins and tricks and stuff, which I feel like is a really awesome mindset to be in, whether you're a pro or you're a beginner, is to relish in the simplicity. And if you can make things sound good without the fancy plugins and whatnot, it's like, you know, back to that taco analogy. It's like having a really good, amazing taco that just has meat, onions, cilantro, nothing else, and it's delicious. I literally had one of those last night, and it was on the street in LA, and it was like better than, like, it was $2.50 per taco, and it was a bajillion times better than, like, you know, like every $15 taco that has like all of these fancy ingredients, and it's like, yeah, it's crazy. Tacos are so good. This is some LA shit, but does that make sense? And is that useful?
I had tacos last night too. That's amazing.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Unreal. Artemis, what's up? Your mic's muted.
So I am super noob. Hello, by the way.
Awesome.
And I don't have Ableton yet.
No worries.
I just had like a passing in my family. Is there anything that I could play around on that I would not, that's free right now?
Yeah, dude. So Ableton has a 90-day free trial. So you are chilling for the next 3 months. Let's go. Yes, dude.
That just got me. That's great. Thank you. Okay, for sure. Yes, dude, I'm excited.
Let's go. Stoked you're here. Stoked you're giving it a try. Download that shit. If you need, you know, basic tutorials, Ableton has like some good ones. I'll find those and send them out in an email as well. So you can just, the most basic stuff. But yeah, if you can just open Ableton, load up that 909 and start making beats, fucking around, you're going to be off to an unbelievable start. And here's the thing, like, you're going to sound more legit than like 99% of producers, because that's the biggest problem, is often it's like people adding too much, overcooking things, you know, and it's just
less is more.
Less is more, 1000%. So stoked for your journey, and let's get it going. Yep. Grace, what's up?
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So my question for you is that since I don't really have a big music theory background, and I like enjoy trying to make house music, and I've got the drums down, but how do you do like the overlaying or like building chords and stuff like that, or working on synths and whatnot?
Totally. Great question. So, I mean, music, it's interesting because, okay, like there's like classical composers who don't even use Ableton and who can just sit there with pen and paper and write all these notes and chords and make amazing music without any of the production stuff that we use. So it's like the rabbit hole for how deep you can go with chords and melodies is endless. But here's the thing, just like, I know this isn't totally answering your question, but dude, like back to Jeff Mills. He's not using one chord or one note for like 11 minutes and is definitely making music, and music that like, that like thousands of people can really enjoy. So I feel like I just want to highlight how you don't need to use one note in a song and it can still be an amazing song that can make people move and dance and have an amazing time. I would say my biggest piece of advice when it comes to like actually starting to use chords and melodies and stuff would be start with the simplest thing. Like, for instance, you can make an amazing song using just one chord. And there's so many great songs that use just one chord. Here, I'll play a song of mine that I made that literally has one chord and people seem to really like the song, even though it's just one chord. That's the chord. It gets brighter and I like have it play different rhythms, but it's just one chord. One chord. And you know, so it's like, also shout out the 909 once again. Yeah, so you know, if you find you can use a chord that you find in like a sample pack and just use that. Or if you are just randomly poking different like MIDI clips, like MIDI notes like this. Hold on, let me just show you. You know, you can, if you're really lost for making even just one chord, you know, you can, here, let's do like, just open up a basic sound and let's see, one bar. Okay, so yeah, if I have one note, can you hear that? Is that working? So, you know, you can just take that one note and copy it upwards and see what happens. Okay, here, let me turn off the distortion. Okay, so that sounds kind of weird. And you can then click the arrow key up. Still sounds kind of weird. Sounds better. And just keep on doing this until you find something you like. You're like, oh, that sounds kind of like music. And then do that again. And be like, oh, that sounds like a real chord. You know, you could just keep on doing this. And you know, just fucking around like randomly. And I think to have any sort of harmony, you can do that with just 2 notes. You don't need a lot of notes. So starting simple, 3 notes, you can make so many chords with 3 notes. So I feel like, once again, there's always like a simple way to think about things. And I would suggest fucking around and discover what you've done and be like, what does this baby want to be? You know, like it's harder at first to be like, oh, I'm imagining a symphony, you know, like, and to just go and make that. But if you are more reactive with like, okay, I've made this chord, what can I do with it? That's like a really great way to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks so much.
No worries. Dope. Wolf Stacks, do you have a question, my dude?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, no, I didn't have a question. I was just gonna let everyone that's beginners and everything know if they need any help with like navigating Ableton, just hit me up on Instagram and I will help you guys answer any questions, anything. I'm totally here to help. I didn't want to take up too much time. I love you, dude.
You're the man. Aaron, aka Wolf Stacks, I did like a 5-week music boot camp and he was a part of it. He is a great producer and a great human. So definitely take him up on that. He's the man. Really appreciate it, dude. All right, a couple more. Termostat, what's up, my dude?
Hi, my name is Emma. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
No. It's a work link. I'm using Zoom for work, so I'm sorry for the confusion. Actually, I want to ask you about. You were talking about the sidechain before, that you said that it's 2-way to do, and I just want to ask you, which is better? What do you prefer or it depends on the song, because you were doing the bass with the volume, that making this like making space for the kick. So I just want to ask you if it's better by the compressor or.
I'd say for the sake of this challenge, don't use the sidechain.
Okay.
And I would say I would say it's often less about better versus worse and more just different. Like it is a different sort of feel. Like here, like I think the biggest thing that comes to my mind when I think of side chaining, often I feel like this might be unfair to like do, but it's like like if you want to make something like this, side chaining is like so perfect. Like that sort of pumping. I love this song, by the way. It's great. If you want, like, it often can give things a more modern feel. And for people who don't like EDM, there's a lot of like modern stuff that's like, you know, like house music and tech house stuff that uses side chaining, and it gives it a modern feel. For this challenge, we're trying to get that classic feel, and so we're gonna not use it if possible. But Emma, right? If you really want to do it, go for it. Like it's like it's up to you, but I'd say try your best to see how far you can get without it. Does that sound like a cool approach?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I have another question, if I may.
Yeah, what's up?
It's kind of personal to you. I'm sorry
up?
that I'm
No.
talking like this, but I just want to ask you if I can hit you up into Instagram about stuff because I'm doing a podcast and I really want to have one with you if
that's
you're
awesome.
interested.
Please hit me up. And yeah, just to remind everyone, DM me what you do today, and I'll try my best to like message everyone back. There's obviously a lot of you, so I'll do my very best. And yeah, with like Instagram stuff, if I ever don't respond to someone, you can just kind of message me. And at some point, hopefully I'll see it. Even, don't message me every day, but like, you'd be like, hey, just making sure you saw this. I try my best. I'm not perfect, but my heart wants to always respond. And Emma, I really appreciate the invitation to the podcast. Sounds like fun. So yeah, let's
Thank you so
keep in
much.
touch. Yeah, of course. Mac Diesel from Detroit. What's good, dude?
What up, Justin? How you doing?
Doing great. What's up?
Good. First off, Mochi says hi. She misses you.
Yes. Aw.
So quick question. Regarding productivity and workflow, is there anything that like you can't live without as far as like say even hotkeys or something? I saw you using the pencil a lot. Is there like little tips and tricks that you like, just for like maybe newer people in Ableton that like is really useful?
I think, my favorite thing ever in Ableton, my favorite hotkey is Command D, which duplicates stuff. Yeah. And dude, for like structure, like you want to see a really cool trick? Like this song is like, it's like, what is it? Like 2.5 minutes. Here, I'll delete this. So this song is currently, 2 minutes and 13 seconds. If I highlight the whole thing and do Shift Command D, my song is now 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And it's just like, if you think about that, such a fast way to make your song longer. And while I'm kind of like joking around to a certain degree, I do feel like in all seriousness, like a big part of how I like to work, especially with structure, is, it's this idea of like, okay, actually, this is something that could be really useful for my track. If I highlight this whole section and do Shift Command D, and then just delete the ride symbol, all of a sudden, if we go back here, this is now going to be a totally different section to a certain degree. Oh, wait, we're playing that chord. Turn that off. Let's just listen. So now this is like drop 1. Drop 2 is a copy of drop 1 with the ride symbol included. And it has the ride buildup. And then drop 3 is different. So Command D, it's like, if you think about house music and techno, it's like you're using these loops. I feel like the more you can recycle the material that's already in your track, the more cohesive your song will be and the less effort it can be. And I think, a lot of great house songs and techno songs are really simple. And part of it is because a lot of like original stuff, it was made on hardware where people were super, super restricted. It's like if you're using, a 909, you only have those like 12 drum sounds and that's it. If you are using like a synthesizer, you only have those sounds, and a lot of people if you were using like a, like an old school, like 303, for instance, you would put one pattern in your 303 and use it for the entire song. So you were super limited with what you could do. And I think when you're limited in those ways, it forces you to get creative in other ways. And you end up with these songs that are really simple in a way that's great for the dance floor. So I feel like Command D, which is the hotkey for duplicating things, whether it's duplicating channels or duplicating time, or notes or patterns, it's great. Oh, so I realized I misspoke. So to copy sections of time, you highlight and do Shift Command D. But if you click on like individual things and do Command D, it'll copy individual clips. It'll copy channels. So I guess that's
cool.
good
I've
too.
never seen that Shift Command D. That's awesome.
Yeah, Shift Command D. And another good one, if you want to, like a big thing that I'll do is like, let's say I want to copy a section, maybe like this, Shift Command D, but then, I have all this like silence. You can highlight a section and then do Shift Command Delete and then delete the time. So I think those two kind of work nicely in conjunction with each other. Is that helpful?
Oh, that's so helpful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Alaska, what's good? Good to have you in the mix.
Hi. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
what's
okay.
up?
So kind of on like the beginner producer side, just curious on like, because I'm all for your like optimism with like do everything and make it just whatever you want, but like, is there anything that we shouldn't do like technical side of producing? Like, what is there like, I just don't know too much about like music theory, so just like, I don't know, is there like something that's just like something I wouldn't hear maybe that like other people who do make music like would be like, wow, that sounds awful, I can't believe they did that?
Well, so this is the craziest thing about making music. I know this might be not the coolest answer to hear as a beginner, but I feel like I've seen this so often with beginners where they do something that is like totally incorrect in every way. And then all of a sudden it turns into something super unique and interesting, which is why I love beginner producers and why I love seeing veteran producers try to get into that beginner's mindset. Because, dude, it's like, it's such a thin line between doing something the wrong way and doing it in a creative way. It's like, who's to really say, right? I think as you get further down the rabbit hole, there are things that, as you get deeper, it's like, I could say like, oh, your low end is a little muddy because you have 4 different bass lines all playing at the same time. Maybe you want that, it's like, there's some crazy shit out there. Like you could break any rules, but it's like the conventions of like what people do are there for you to kind of pick and choose at your discretion, right? You can decide like, oh, do I want to fucking break this rule or do I want to play into it? And if early on, I feel like you don't need to worry too much about any of this stuff. I would just say like, follow your intuition, because that's the most powerful thing. Like anyone who is here in this Zoom has obviously been listening to music for some point in their lives. And it's like, just by being a listener, we've been cultivating our ear and our musical intuition. And even if you don't know the theory or whatnot, trust that intuition. And Alaska, for this challenge, it's like you're not really at risk of doing anything wrong, I would say, because the whole idea is I'm severely restricting the tools that you're going to be using. Like I'm saying, just use the 909. If you want to add another sound or two, that's cool, but we're restricting what you're allowed to use. And dude, with just a 909 and 0 effects, you could do so much fucking crazy shit and there's like, I feel like you could break any rule really. I would say maybe within that one thing, just like if you can just make it focus on getting the grooves to feel good so that you want to dance. I think that's the only guiding principle you really need to be like thoughtful of for this weekend. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, of course. Yeah, dude. And I feel like anyone who's a beginner, I know this stuff can be intimidating, and the key is just like to embody this fucking tenacious, like, yo, I'm gonna fucking do this shit and not give a fuck. Like, I think that mindset is the winning mindset, and it's a winning mindset even if you're a pro. So yeah, just having fun, just like Jeff Mills banging on that 909. Let's see, Javi, am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah, you got it.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, so this question is less a production question and more for you as a DJ.
Yeah,
I actually have my first techno gig next week.
Let's
and
go.
I'm really trying to like, my friend brought me into it, and I'm really trying to turn that into like getting more gigs. And I was wondering if you have any advice for like a new DJ, how to get like cool club gigs.
Totally. I mean, I think to answer your question quickly, it would just be making music. I feel like that's the biggest thing for me. What's helped me grow is making music. I make music just for fun, and whatever kind of music I feel like making in that moment, I make it, no matter what genre or style. I've definitely made a bunch of techno, and yeah, like for me, because a lot of people might think of my music as more house. And so I was like, it was funny because I put out a couple techno EPs, and then I got asked to do some techno gigs, and it's like, I feel like the key is making music, always trying to improve, learn, and, have fun with it no matter what. And then sending your music out to labels. Most labels have demo submissions, and I feel like making music and then getting it signed to labels is a great approach to like building some legitimacy and piquing interest from like promoters and talent buyers. So that's my super short answer. Is that helpful?
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Fuck yeah. Luis, my man, how you doing, dude?
Hello, how are you? Yeah,
Doing good.
I'm so happy to be here. So my question is, do you pay much attention to the root note of the kick when you're doing these 909 jams?
Oh, dude. It's funny. There are times where I'll care about the tuning of the kick drum, but with the stock Ableton 909, dude, you just let it rip. You don't even need to do anything. If it's like if you want to put it at a different pitch, go for it, but you definitely don't need to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Nice. Thank you. Okay.
Dope. Let's see. Gideani, am I saying your name correctly?
It's Gideani.
Gideani, how you doing, dude?
Yeah, it was actually related to what he just said. So where would you fit a nice bass line, like the frequency wise, related to the kick?
I feel like the key is, find a sound that you like, make sure that you're not playing it so high that it's like not a bass, and make sure that it's not so low that it's just a fart. Find something in between. And, I think just mess around. You can find one note that you like and seeing if you can make a bass line just using that one note. I think I posted something on Instagram as like a demonstration of that. But yeah, and for this challenge, man, you don't even need to use a bass line if you'd like. You can just use the low toms on the 909 and see what's possible. So it's like, it's really funny because I think even if you're just using the toms on the 909, it's actually really good practice for writing bass lines, because for any bass line, the rhythm is really, really important. And you could have the best sound in the world, but if you're not getting a good rhythm that you like, it's not going to work. And the 909 challenge, it's awesome because you don't have to worry about the sound selection, and you're already going to be developing this other skill, so that when you do find a bass sound that you really like, you're more likely to, find an awesome rhythm for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But will you eventually cut off some frequencies so they don't fight each other?
Sometimes
like
no.
low bass?
Sometimes no. And then it depends on the kick drum, depends on the bass, but there are times where I do not cut any low end. So yeah, it's all situational, but I feel like there's a lot of things, and this is my take on it. I feel like there's many sort of like rules that people say when it comes to mixing and production, like, oh, you always need to do this. I'm like, yo, there's always a rule that can be broken. So yeah. I hope that's helpful.
That makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. Mackenzie, how you doing?
Hey, great. How is everyone doing?
Doing good. What's up?
I wanted to come to this community and see if anybody else either resonates with this or has any advice. I have been DJing for 5 years and playing shows, and just wanted to start producing to kind of bring that to the next level. So I've produced a couple tracks, but I have this whole complex in my head of like songs that I'm willing to play out. So when I'm, I want them to be at a certain caliber. So when I sit down to produce, I have this complex in my head that I need to produce this like insane techno ballad. And like I can't, it just makes it super daunting to like sit down at the computer anyways, like coming from a perspective of wanting to make, I don't know, incredible music that I want to play on stage, which then has a caliber of like how good I want it to be, I guess. So it makes me never want to sit down and produce because it is such a daunting thing, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. And I feel like the fact that you're self-aware of that stuff is like 90% of the battle, honestly, because I think so many of us can be kind of like tied down by those types of like mindset issues, and it can just ruin everything, especially when you don't realize it's happening. But I'd say the best immediate way to like flip that upside down is to do what I did with like take that 909, put like overdrive on your master and just make a fucking gnarly 140 BPM crazy thing. And just like, hopefully, even if you don't normally listen to that kind of music, if you can find the if you can be like, wow, this is making me like nod my head or whatever, like that's a cool approach. You don't need to do the overdrive thing, but I feel like in general, the biggest thing is with writer's block. If you have too much pressure about like, I need to write a great song, it makes it very not fun to make music. And on the flip side, if you are having lots of fun and not caring about the results, you're way more likely to make something great. So I think, you can tell yourself, I want to make a really stupid song. And making stupid songs is like a great mindset for making amazing songs, because we're removing self-judgment and pressure. Because I think often you might sit down and come up with an idea that's good, and then the voice in the back of your head says it's not good enough, and it might actually be good enough, and I feel like we're just at risk of ruining our own songs by putting too much pressure on the results. And I feel like another funny example would be like with like a relationship, like if there's someone you have a crush on, if you're like, I need you to like me back, that's not going to be like the best mindset to like hang out, be like, so do you like me yet? Like whether even it's a friend, like me, it's, that's, can't really control that. But if you're just focusing on like enjoying the moment and being like, yo, like I'm really enjoying our time together, that's like that's what we can focus on, and that'll often yield like better results. So I hope, does that make any sense? Was that helpful at all?
Yeah, no, that was helpful. I know I just need to get in there and take away the complex and just produce for fun. Because right now it feels like a chore more than like something that's for fun, and I want to just be fucking around having fun.
Yes, let's fuck around, dude. And send me what you do. The 909, this whole challenge, it's awesome just to like reset, strip away all the tools, strip away all the control of like, I as someone who's like been DJing for, a decent amount of time, like I'm sure you have so much like vision for what kind of music you want to be making. And I feel like that in itself can be really tricky, because it's so like, Mackenzie, I'm sure you listen to like a wide range of different styles of music. And it's possible that like, you might make like a song that is like 100 BPM and it might be like a huge hit, and it's like, you never know. And then you might still want to DJ techno, and that's cool too. It's like, I feel like when it comes to making music, the most important thing is like being present with what your heart wants to do, even if your brain, if your DJ self is like wants you to do something else. You got to say, hey, get out of the studio, manager, like inner manager, have fun expressing yourself, whatever that means. And with the 909 thing, it's like, that's what you're given. You just got to make do with it and see what happens. And it's very possible you might make an amazing song. So I hope that helps.
Oh, thank you. Definitely did.
Sweet. Let's keep it going. Tom, what's up, my dude?
This is Tom?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, dude. So I want to know, like, how do you finish records? So let's say you have something that's like, I don't know, 95% done, or, like really, really close to being finished, but it's just like the last nerdy percent, or that like makes it like a finished record.
Yeah. I
mean, what I'm saying?
Totally. This is, it's a great
question. So it's
question.
kind of in like the Mackenzie world in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
With the brain messing with you?
So I feel like there's, well, it's interesting. It's a really great question, and it's kind of a long answer. I'll probably try and dig in on this subject more tomorrow. But I would say, do you DJ, Tom? Give me a thumbs up if you do. or a
Sorry,
thumbs
you're
up
right.
if you
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely, dude. I've been like I'm doing shows. Have done a lot of different stuff.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So I'd say like there might be different degrees to something being done. So maybe like, there's done where you feel comfortable showing your dog or done showing your
Yeah.
like friend, or like, showing like your snobby hipster friend who hates everything. You're like, oh, I really want to make sure it's good for that dude. Or DJing the song. I think in general, my favorite mindset to be in is I don't think about things ever being 100% done. I like to think about things being good enough. Good enough. That's like the type of language that I like to use, because what it is, it's like it helps us keep out of the state of like perfectionism that can often ruin the process. Because dude, I experience this all the time. If I get too caught up on the perfection, I'll make 10 different versions, and version 4 will be the best. Like,
right, yeah.
It's like, it's back to food analogies. It's like if you go to a steakhouse, they'll recommend you get it like rare or medium rare. And as producers, we all have the tendency to want to overcook things and be like, I just want to put it in the oven a little bit longer, and then it's fucking rubber.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest mindset thing. Obviously, there are specific things that we might want to tweak to get a song to feel done and 100%, but each song is different, and often there's far less things that we need to tweak than our like insecure brain thinks. And let's just be honest, when it comes to finishing a song, it's easy to get insecure about it. Like it happens to me all the time, because I'm like, oh, is it good enough? Is this enough? And it's just like, it happens when you spend 8 hours not seeing the light of day, or not seeing a human, or not eating or showering or sleeping. You just lose all of your objectivity. And I feel like, this mindset of good enough, take a break, listen to it later, I'm a big fan of this song is good enough. Let me try DJing it. When you do that, you might see, oh, wow, the kick drum is too quiet, or this section is way too long. Like this section is 5 minutes long. It needs to be 1 minute long. Like you'll learn those things kind of when you DJ it. So if you're someone who DJs, that's my favorite approach, is get it good enough to DJ it. If there might be some obvious things that you want to change when you DJ it, and if people seem to like it, it might be done. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like often other people will know that your song is done before you. So sending it to friends, having people that you can trust, hopefully people that are somewhat positive as well. Because if you send every track to someone, and every time that person's like, this sucks, this isn't done, you might need to find someone else that's possible. That
So
person
different management then, I guess, or
that person might not like techno or something, So that's some basic advice, but obviously this is a very long discussion. I hope some of that basic stuff is helpful. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Dope. Let's see. We'll do this till the end of the hour. Kuya, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes, you got it. Kuya.
My man.
Yeah.
How you doing?
All right. Good. Thanks for doing this first and foremost. This is awesome. So okay, I got a couple EPs that are already finished. I've been producing for quite some time, and I'll kind of just bundle this into one question. So I haven't been able to get them signed. So at what point do I just start sending them to a mass audience, right? Or mass labels, right? Instead of, picking and choosing. I think I've only chosen maybe 15 or 20 labels, and I haven't landed with any of them. And then how do you go about sending your demos in? How long do you wait? How many labels do you send in at a time? Right?
Totally. Dude, lots of great questions. And yeah, dude, with this stuff, like I just finished teaching like a 6-month program where like this is like a huge part of what we talked about. Like there's this whole other side to things. Like once you finish your songs, that's a whole rabbit hole to go down. And so definitely something I love talking about and I'm really interested in. To give you like a 30-second answer instead of like a 6-month answer, I would say dude, when in doubt, just shotgun that shit to as many people as you can in a way that's never make someone feel like you're spamming them. That's no good, because if you just spam, like if you spam everyone, that is, people will just not even listen. And so, I feel like you want to give your songs a chance, send them out to as many people in a way that feels personal to that label. And I would say if you're not getting any results, I feel like starting to self-release your music is another really great thing that we can do. Because with labels, there's so many variables. It's such a crapshoot. Sometimes people don't even check their emails, so they're not even listening to your stuff. Then sometimes you send the perfect song, but the person didn't eat breakfast yet, and so they're hungry, and so they listen to your song, and they haven't had their coffee yet, and so they're like, I don't want, no, because they're not even in a good mood. So it's like I've had great songs that got rejected by so many labels, and then like my favorite label is like, we love this. So it's all just a crapshoot, and it should never be a reflection on your music. But yeah, so takeaway: shotgun that shit out, self-release your music if no one's responding. And I feel like, it's like, should I self-release my music? Is it good enough? I feel like show your friends. If your friends are like, yo, dude, this song's tight, be like, okay, I'll put it on SoundCloud. I'm a big fan of like bootleg remixes as well. And so that's something that no label will really ever sign. So it's a great way to just get more music out there for your friends to hear and stuff like that. That's a bunch of advice. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. All right, follow-up question. Like, is sending too many tracks too much? Like, should I not send 4 tracks to one label?
I think 4 or 5 tracks. I think 4 or 5 tracks, totally fine. 50 tracks, too much. So
No. Yeah. I'm talking about like maybe a couple EPs or something. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Perfect. Yeah. You answered it. Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll try it.
And just to say, this is stuff that I do love digging in about, and I love like talking about this. And dude, it's been awesome because I've done like a couple teaching things, and so many of the students have gotten their songs signed to labels, and it's just the dopest thing, especially if you're like, there's a label you really look up to, and then all of a sudden you get signed and the DJs start playing your songs. It's really cool. That being said, if you get rejected, it's really important that you don't allow that rejection to be a reflection on your music or your like skills as a producer, because everyone has their own taste, and it's like a bunch of people don't like the Beatles and other people think the Beatles are the best. So it's like it's not about like getting every track signed or every demo signed. It's like I've had songs that didn't get signed for like 6 years. Like I had a song on Suara, which is run by this guy Koyu, and one of the songs he wanted, I literally made in 2014, and it came out in 2020. Straight up. So yeah, you never know. All right, let's keep it going. Let's do one more. Sorry guys, just running low on time. Kevin, what's up, my dude?
What's up, my man? I'll make it real quick for you, man. So I've been making music. We have a couple tracks ready with like my project and stuff. And I took this class because I want to hear perspective. Your style's unique. At what point did you realize that you needed a manager, someone that can help you with like bookings and stuff? Like, it's more, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I totally got your question. I went maybe like 2 or 3 years of releasing music on other labels before I started working with a manager. So yeah, I feel like what's cool is, dude, you do not need a manager to send demos to labels. And often, often it just, there's times where like, it can even be better for the artist to send the music than the manager sometimes, depending on the size of the label. So, yeah, I think that's my advice. That's my experience. The other people might have a different experience, but I definitely don't think you need a manager to do great things and to start getting gigs and to even start traveling around for gigs. That was my experience, at least.
Of course, I just wanted to keep that in mind. But yeah, I appreciate that so much.
Dude, my pleasure, man. All right, fuck it. All right, no one else raised your hand. We'll do these last 2 hands and then we'll call it. Matt, what's up, my dude?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks so much for all this. It's fucking super inspirational. Shout out to Rafi too. Played a back-to-back set with him at Splash House for like 4 hours. Love that guy. I'm gonna keep it simplistic too. Like, what was your biggest inspiration that got you into music? I'm just curious because this is inspiring me so much.
Ah, dude, that's awesome, dude. Well, it's kind of funny because when I was growing up, I wanted to play in a rock band, but I was the kid who grew up playing classical piano, and no one needed like, you know, a Mozart sonata in their like Red Hot Chili Peppers cover or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I learned about how you could make music like with GarageBand and turn the keyboard into like any sound. And I was just like, that's the coolest thing. And so for me, that's where it started, just like being able to like have fun, fucking around on the computer. I was originally trying to make like rock on like GarageBand. And it was like ridiculous music. And it's just like, yeah, man, it's not about like, I feel like having fun is just by far the most important thing, because if you're having fun, you're never wasting time doing this shit, and you're likely to make something kind of tight. If you're having fun, that music might inspire someone else to have fun, you know? So that's hope that answers the question.
No, you're good. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Sick. Jordan, what's up?
Hey man, thanks. I guess just to reflect what he said as well, thanks for doing this. This is super awesome and badass. A lot of my questions have actually already been answered, but I guess real quick, like, what's your, and it doesn't necessarily apply to this weekend, but like, what's your take on like samples, breaks, or using Splice and things like that? Obviously want to be original as possible, but just curious your take on those things.
Dude, do it all. Do it all, man. Yeah, it's like, I feel like the 909, none of us will be the first person to use the 909 on a track.
Yeah,
and it's like, that doesn't mean that 909 track could be super dope. So I feel like, you know, it's like back to the rock thing. You wouldn't knock a rock band for using a guitar or even using like a major chord. You're like, yo, dude, C major? You're using that? That's been done before, bro. Like, it's music. It's all about taking these parts and putting them together. You know, like you didn't create you didn't like invent the synthesizer. You didn't invent Ableton. You didn't invent the laptop. You didn't invent any of this shit. And that doesn't matter. You know, it's like, yeah,
Totally.
it's just about having fun, and the originality comes from like the combination. And it's like, there's endless combinations. Like, no, like everyone here could make a track with just the 909, and like, no one will make the exact same song. You know, it's like, there's just too many possibilities. So yeah, man, hope was that
Totally
helpful?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Super appreciate you doing this. This is awesome.
Awesome, dude. Roll through tomorrow, man. All right, Danny, I said no more questions, but you'll be the last one. And that's it. What's up, my dude?
Hey, great to see you, Justin. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate you, man. Like giving us all the secrets. I was wondering if you have any experience. I know you do Fantastic Voyage and you do like live shows and stuff like that. Have you ever been able to mix DJing with, you know, like an RC 505 or something like that, like, and mix vocals and other kind of things like that, like shakers and things on top of music?
Yeah, dude, there's so much that you can do to like add different live elements into a performance. And yeah, it's something that I'm a big fan of. Yeah, I could definitely talk forever about it, but I'd say that the takeaway is like, yeah, if there's something you want to try, go for it. There's no reason not to give it a shot, and to even give it a shot in front of people. Like, I've definitely done so many things where I didn't rehearse it and I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I just gave it a try. Because I feel like if you're in front of people, you can try pretty much anything for like a minute. You know, like 60 seconds is long enough to try a musical experiment, and it's not enough time to completely clear a dance floor normally. Unless people are really fast. They're really just running away. But yeah, and so yeah, give things a try, and you know, you can do it in like a bite-sized chunk and see what worked, what didn't work, and develop things from there. Is that useful advice?
That's great. Thank you. I mean, you don't need Ableton or anything, right? You can just like run an RC 505 or something like that straight into a DJ deck.
Totally, dude. Totally.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
that. Thank you so much, Justin.
Of course.
Thanks
man.
again.
All right, guys, send in your tracks by 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. I will send a recap email with what to do, with some links for anyone who missed stuff. Feel free to tag me on Instagram stories with your 909 beat, and I want to see what people are doing. And yeah, DM me your songs. I'll try to listen to as many as possible. But But yeah, really appreciate everyone rolling through, and hopefully I'll catch you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, same link also. Sound cool?
Thank
Cheers.
you.
All righty. Have a
Peace.
great day, great night. Bye, everybody.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Peace. Woo! Bye.